It's time for math notes. This theme song's lame. You know you love it. I really need to stop doing that. Time for more notes from Module 2. Module 2 notes. We're jumping ahead a little bit. We are going to go into Module 2, Lesson 20. So 2-20. Dividing with one digit quotients and remainders. Now this is going to be, I don't want to say odd, but it feels like we're going backwards a little bit. When we were working with decimals, we talked about how we weren't going to use remainders then. You are going to be using a little bit with remainders today. For this particular lesson, if you don't use a remainder, you end up with some very long decimals, some decimals that go on and on forever. We're going to avoid that. So, for lesson 10 plus 10, lesson 20, we're going to divide with one-digit quotients, so our answers are going to be relatively small. We will have some remainders, though, from time to time. I will skip over the vocabulary. We talked about dividend, divisor, and quotient. You're going to see them again, but for the most part, I don't want to make you copy their definitions every single lesson. So we'll go right to the procedure. When you're dividing, step 1, write the problem vertically. You know how much I love writing the problem vertically. Write the problem vertically. Now the problem will seldom be given to you vertically. Usually you will see something like this: 65 divided by 17. Now, I need to put these things into the division hut, into the little division symbol. When you have an expression like this, now not for word problems have different rules, but for an expression, once you have it written something divided by something, your first number is going to be your dividend. Your dividend, your first number, go inside the division hut. This is what's being broken up into something else. Specifically, in this case, it's being broken up into 17 little parts. Okay. The divisor, 17, the outside number. Your divisor goes on the outside. Okay. Now, it doesn't look terribly vertical right now. It's still all in one line. But, as you know, with long division, it's about to get extremely vertical. Now, step 2. And I do want you to do this step. Actually, let me change the wording on this just a little bit. We're still doing the step, obviously, but I'll explain what I meant in a minute. Go ahead. You're going to divide the first digit, sometimes digits. That'll be the case today. Sometimes it's just the first digit, sometimes it's 2. You're going to divide the first digits of the dividend starting at the left. So whichever dividend, or whichever number in the dividend, whichever digit is the farthest to the left, whatever has the greatest place value. Divide the first digits of the dividend, starting at the left, by the divisor. Okay. Now, I'm going to copy this down here. We have our hut, dividend on the inside, divisor on the outside. Now, in some cases, 17, I could put this into the first digit. Not if it's double like this. No, 17 is not going to go into 6. If I cover that up, piece of scratch paper. If I cover the rest of the problem up and just say 6 divided by 17, that's not going to work evenly. If I have 6 marbles, I cannot pass them out to 17 people. So I'm going to put a 0 here to show that that's not happening. Graph paper is your friend. All right. I'll slide this over. Now 17 will go into 65. 17 will go into 65. We have to find out about how many times. This is what I was talking about earlier, and this may still be feeling kind of new. In 2-17, we talked about using compatible numbers. We use compatible numbers to help us estimate. That's kind of what we're going to do here. Before I go into this column, I'm looking at 65 divided by 17. Really, I could have just started this way, and that's what I was considering doing, but I wanted to show you, I think, what you're more familiar with. What you're going to do is think 65 divided by 17. Well, 17 would round to about 20. It's closer to 20 than it is to 10. And looking at the 6, if I want something that's compatible with a 2, then I need to leave it 6. Make this 60. Now, obviously, we are just estimating. So when I say that the answer is 3, I don't mean the final quotient will be 3. However, because the estimate says the answer is about 3, 3 is a good place to start. So I looked at the 17 going into 6. 6 divided by 17. Not happening. Stretch it out to 65. 65 divided by 17. Well, that'll work. If I have 65 marbles, I can pass some out to 17 friends. When I estimate with compatible numbers, it looks like each friend is going to get about 3. Probably not exactly 3, but about 3. Step 3. Okay. Slide this up a bit. We're going to continue with our division, just like we've done in the past. We're going to multiply the quotient times the divisor. So I'll show you in a moment, but in this case, 3 times 17, quotient times divisor. Multiply the quotient times the divisor and finish the division problem. There we go. Finish the division problem. Now, I've mentioned this before, but I don't think I have put it in quite such big letters. Let's say that. Be sure what you get. Be sure what you get when you multiply is not, here are the big letters, is not. Be sure what you get when you multiply is not more than the dividend. Okay, what does that mean? Division hut, broken pencil, thank you. Division hut. Dividend inside, divisor outside. We already talked about how 17 is not going into 6. 6 is too small. But 17 will go into 65 approximately 3 times. I will multiply 3 times 17. 3 times 7 is 21. Carry that 2. 3 times 1 is 3, 4, 5. Okay. What I got when I multiplied is 51. That is not more than the dividend. It is not more than the dividend. It is not more than 65, so we are in good shape. We'll go ahead and subtract this as normal. 5 minus 1 is 4. 6 minus 5 is 1. Now this will be our remainder. I need to be sure. So here's another be sure. Be sure the remainder is less. Be sure the remainder is less. Less than what, you ask? Less than the divisor. The remainder needs to be smaller than the divisor. If it is not, if the remainder is bigger than the divisor, then you did not put it in enough times. Basically, the number in the quotient is too small. We estimated to get our 3 this time, and that worked out pretty well for us. But if my remainder had been something like 17, 18, 19, if it had been the same or more when compared to the divisor, I would have had to go back and bump up. Oh well, try to make it pretty for you. Let's finish this particular example and I'll show you what I'm talking about. 65 divided by 17, we got 3. 3 times 17 was 51. When I subtracted that out, I got 14. My remainder is less than the divisor. We're doing okay there. Okay. For step 4, record your answer and remainder. So 65 divided by 17 is equal to 3 with a remainder of 14. Now I'll do more examples in class, but for right now we'll go ahead and stop. I will do this, however, because we haven't had any examples on paper in a while. I will give you 2 of those examples to start with now. So take a look at 49 divided by 21. Slide that up a bit more. Take a look at 84 divided by 32. Now you don't have enough room on this paper if you're like me and you're pretty close to the bottom. So take some graph paper, go on the back of this page, work these out. Dividend inside, divisor outside. Use rounding with compatible numbers, estimating with compatible numbers to help you. See how you do. All right, I'll take questions and work through more of these with you tomorrow, but for now, that's all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you in class.